Something unexpected happened today that no one saw coming. People across the world are sitting in silence, refreshing their news feeds, hoping it's not true. A name that has been a part of many lives for decades is suddenly in the headlines for the saddest reason possible. It doesn't feel real. The entertainment world has gone quiet, as if holding its breath. News reporters speak slowly, their voices softer than usual, trying to find the right words. Everyone is asking the same question: how can this be happening? You probably remember her smile, the way she lit up the screen without trying too hard. She had a quiet strength, the kind that didn't need loud drama or big speeches. For years she was someone people watched on TV, feeling like she was more than just an actress. She felt like someone you knew. Someone real. That's why this moment is hitting so hard for so many. Hollywood is full of stories. Some are happy, some are wild, some are heartbreaking. But this one feels different. This story isn't about a scandal or a comeback, it's about loss. A sudden one, the kind that leaves everyone stunned. There's a strange silence hanging over everything. The kind of silence that comes when people don't know what to say. When the news first broke, many people thought it was a mistake. Maybe someone had confused her name with someone else's. Maybe it was a rumor. Social media filled up quickly, people asking each other, "Did you hear this? Is it true? Please tell me it's not." But the truth became clearer with every passing hour. It wasn't a joke, it wasn't just talk, something had really happened. And that's when the sadness started to settle in. For those who grew up watching her, it feels like part of their childhood or teenage years is now gone. You can't think about certain shows without thinking of her. She wasn't always the loudest or the flashiest, but there was something special about the way she acted. She made you believe her characters were real. She brought emotion, heart, and honesty to everything she did. That's not easy. That's not something every actor can do. Now there's just this strange emptiness. Her name is trending everywhere, but for the most painful reason, her face is on every screen, every page. But this time, she's not promoting a show or attending a red carpet. This time, people are looking back. They're remembering. They're missing her already. What's worse is the timing. There was no warning, no slow decline, no sign that anything was wrong. One day she was here, maybe even working, maybe just living her normal life like the rest of us. And the next had gone. Just like that. That kind of sudden loss hits harder. It leaves people wondering what really happened. Was it an accident? Was it health-related? Was she suffering quietly, away from the cameras and the public eye? Those answers haven't come yet, and maybe they won't for a while. That's part of what makes this moment so difficult. The not knowing. The waiting. The wondering. People always say you never know how much someone meant to you until they're. That feels true today more than ever. Fans are posting clips of her best moments online. Old interviews, funny scenes, emotional moments from the shows she was in. It's like people are trying to hold on to her in any way they can. Trying to keep her memory alive. Even those who didn't watch her shows are feeling something. Because even if you didn't follow her closely, you knew her face. You heard her name. She was part of the bigger story of television and movies. Part of that world that sometimes feels distant but at other times feels like home. Her co-stars haven't said much yet. Maybe they're still processing. Maybe they're still trying to believe it. Or maybe they're just too heartbroken to speak. You can feel the weight in the air, even from miles away. Everyone deals with grief differently, but one thing is clear: this isn't just the loss of a celebrity. It's the loss of someone who mattered. And as the world waits for more information, for statements from her family or close friends, people are left with a mix of emotions. Shock. Sadness. Confusion. But also love. Because while her life may have ended suddenly, what she gave to the world through her art, her presence, and her personality hasn't gone anywhere. It's still here. In reruns. In memories. In the way she made people feel seen and understood. This is just the beginning of the story the world will now tell about her. Not just about how she died, but about how she lived. About what she stood for. About the space she held in the hearts of so many. For now though, all we can do is sit with the sadness. Feel the shock. And remember her in our own quiet way. Everyone knows her name, but not everyone knows her story. She was more than just a famous face on television. She was someone who grew up in front of the world and still managed to keep something real, something honest about herself. That's rare in Hollywood, where so many people lose who they really are. But she didn't. She stayed true to herself, and that's one of the reasons why so many people connected with her. Sara Gilbert wasn't just a name in the credits. She was someone who made people feel like they knew her. Like she could have been a neighbor or a friend. When she spoke on screen, it never felt fake. It felt natural, like she wasn't acting at all, just being herself in a way that made her characters unforgettable. She first became famous when she was very young. Many people watched her grow up on the TV show Roseanne. She played a smart, strong, and sometimes sarcastic girl who didn't always fit in. But that was the magic, because so many viewers also felt like they didn't fit in either. Watching her made them feel seen. She gave a voice to people who felt different, and that meant a lot to them. Even today, fans still say that her character helped them through hard times. That's not something you hear about just any actor. As the years went by, she didn't disappear like some child stars do. She kept working, kept creating, and kept surprising people. She didn't chase fame. She didn't try to be someone else. Instead, she focused on doing meaningful work. She became part of The Talk, a daytime TV show where she didn't just act, she spoke from the heart. She shared her opinions, told her stories, and let people see who she really was. People respected her for that. They listened to her not because she shouted the loudest, but because what she said felt real. Behind the scenes, she also lived a very private life. She wasn't the kind of celebrity always seen at parties or in gossip magazines. She chose to live quietly, spending her time with her loved ones, focusing on what really mattered. And maybe that's why her sudden passing feels even harder to understand. Because she wasn't someone who lived loudly, she lived deeply. And now that she's gone, people are realizing just how much she meant. There's a kind of beauty in the way she carried herself. She never pretended to be perfect. She never tried to fit into the usual Hollywood mold. She was strong in her own quiet way, and that inspired so many people. Especially young women who saw someone like them succeeding in a world that often asks you to be something else. Sara showed that you didn't need to change who you were to make an impact. You just needed to be real. And that's what she was. Her talent wasn't the loud kind. It didn't scream for attention, but it lasted. It stayed with people. Her voice, her timing, her expressions, there was something about her that made scenes come alive. Directors and writers loved working with her because she gave something special to every role. And now that she's gone, those old shows and interviews feel different. They feel more important, like little pieces of her that we get to hold on to. Fans are sharing their memories online, writing about how much she meant to them. Some are talking about meeting her in real life, saying she was kind and warm. Others are just sharing their favorite scenes or interviews. It's like the whole world is coming together to say thank you, to remember her, to make sure she isn't forgotten. There's also a lot of mystery around her passing. No one really knows what happened yet. People are waiting for answers, but at the same time, there's a feeling that no answer will make this easier. The loss is still the same. The shock is still there, and the sadness runs deep. But within that sadness, there's also so much love. Love for who she was and for what she gave to the world. Sometimes when a person leaves the world suddenly, we only then realize how many lives they touched. That's what's happening now. Sara Gilbert may have lived a quiet life, but her impact was loud in the best possible way. She gave people hope, comfort, and laughter. She reminded them that it was okay to be different, and she showed that staying true to yourself was something powerful. So now, people are looking back. They're watching her old work with new eyes. They're hearing her words and feeling them more deeply. Her legacy is not just about the roles she played, it's about the way she made people feel. The comfort she gave, the realness she brought into a world that often feels fake. As this story continues to unfold, there are still so many questions left, but one thing is clear. Sara Gilbert wasn't just a celebrity. She was a symbol of something rare. Honesty, strength, and heart in a place where those things are sometimes hard to find. Her journey, her career, and her quiet courage have left behind a story that deserves to be told, not just today, but for years to come. And even though she's no longer with us, the love people have for her is still here. That love is her light, and that light isn't going out anytime soon. When someone so well-known passes away suddenly, the first thing people ask is what really happened. That question is everywhere right now. On social media, in the news, and in private conversations between fans and friends, everyone is trying to understand the truth behind this unexpected loss. There's confusion, sadness, and a deep need to know more. Not because people are being nosy, but because they care, because they loved her, and because this doesn't feel real. Sara Gilbert was not someone often seen in headlines for the wrong reasons. She kept her life private, quiet, and peaceful. That's why this moment is so shocking. There were no warning signs, No strange public appearances, no clear signs of struggle, just silence, and then suddenly, this news. And now people are asking the questions that no one yet has the answers to. Was it an accident? Did something happen that no one saw coming? Or was she quietly dealing with something she never spoke about? These questions are circling in everyone's minds. It's natural to wonder. When someone passes away so suddenly, and without any warning, it creates a space that's filled with mystery. That mystery can feel heavy. It makes people think about how little we sometimes know about the people we think we know well. Fans are looking back now, trying to find signs. They're rewatching her recent interviews, looking closely at her body language, her words, her expressions. Was she trying to say something? Was she hiding pain behind that calm smile? Was there something she wanted people to notice, but didn't say out loud? Maybe, maybe not. But the curiosity is strong and it won't go away anytime soon. Some people are also remembering how often celebrities hide their pain. They smile for the cameras, they keep working, and they act like everything is fine. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes they are carrying something heavy that no one sees. And sometimes, even their closest friends don't know until it's too late. That thought is scary. It makes people think about their own lives too, about the people around them, about the silent struggles that might be happening just out of view. In Sara's case, nothing is clear yet. The news reports are saying very little. Her family has asked for privacy, and that's understandable. They are grieving, they are hurting, and they probably don't even have all the answers themselves. But for the world watching, that silence only adds to the mystery. People want to know not just out of curiosity, but because they need closure. Knowing what happened can help people process the loss. Until those answers come though, people are left with guesses. Some think it might have been a health issue. Others wonder if stress played a part. Some are even worried it might have been something darker like depression or emotional pain that no one knew about. These thoughts are heavy, and they hurt. But they're also real. And they're part of the human way of dealing with sudden loss. No matter what the truth is, one thing is certain: this was not expected. It wasn't something people were prepared for. And that's what makes it so painful. When someone is sick for a long time, their passing is still sad, but people have time to say goodbye. They have time to prepare their hearts. But when it happens suddenly, it feels like someone has pulled the ground out from under you. You're just left there, trying to make sense of it all. Right now, fans are waiting. They are waiting for official news. Waiting for someone to explain what happened. Waiting to understand. That waiting can be the hardest part. The not knowing. The quiet. The space where answers should be. But in the middle of all this, something else is happening too. People are holding on to the good memories. They're trying to stay connected to the parts of Sara that meant the most to them. Her voice. Her humor. Her kindness. Her honesty. That's what people are sharing now. Old videos. Quotes. Scenes that touch their hearts. These things are becoming little pieces of comfort while the bigger truth is still hidden. There is also a growing respect for how Sara lived her life. She never made drama for attention. She didn't chase fame or try to be the loudest voice in the room. She just did her work. She showed up. She gave her best. And she stayed true to who she was. That's rare. That's special. And it's one of the many reasons why people feel this loss so deeply. Maybe someday the full story will come out. Maybe her family will speak. Or maybe the truth will stay private forever. Either way, the love people feel for her won't change. The respect won't fade. The impact she made won't be forgotten. In the end, people don't just remember how someone died. They remember how they lived. And even while the mystery around her death remains, the memories of her life are clear, strong, and beautiful. That's what people are holding on to now. And still, deep inside, the question lingers. What really happened to Sara Gilbert? That question may remain unanswered for now, but the search for truth and understanding continues. And with every passing hour, the world waits, hoping to find peace, even in the silence. Quote, something almost haunting about the way Sara Gilbert lived her life. In Hollywood, where fame often comes with noise and drama, she quietly carved out her own path. It wasn't loud or flashy, but it was real. She didn't show up at every red carpet event. She didn't need the attention. She wasn't chasing the spotlight. Instead, she focused on what really mattered to her. And that's why her death, though sudden and tragic, has hit so many people so hard. For years, Sara was a well-known name in Hollywood. Her face appeared on TV screens, in movies, and even in the homes of millions of people. She was loved, respected, and admired, all for the way she portrayed herself. But despite being a famous TV star, she lived a life that many didn't know much about. There was something private, something mysterious about her, that kept people curious. She never felt the need to share everything with the world, and that's one of the things that made her so intriguing. She was a star, but also a person who didn't seek to become a part of every headline, and that made her different from most celebrities. It's almost as if she preferred to keep her personal life behind closed doors. And yet, because of that, people were always fascinated by her. They wanted to know more about her. They wanted to understand her. How did she manage to stay so grounded? How did she manage to have such a strong sense of self in an industry that's often so fake and shallow? What did she do when the cameras were off? People had questions, but Sara was never one to answer them. And maybe that's what made her all the more compelling. Her role on The Talk allowed people to see a different side of her, a side where she spoke openly about things like family, work, and even personal struggles. But she still kept a lot of her life private. She gave people glimpses into her world, but never all of it. And maybe that was part of her magic. Her ability to show just enough to make people feel like they knew her, but not too much to make her lose that air of mystery. But now, with her passing, people want answers. They want to know more about Sara than they ever did before. They want to understand why her life, so full of promise, ended so suddenly. And though no one has all the answers yet, one thing is clear: her life wasn't as simple as it seemed. She was more than just a beloved TV personality. She was a person with layers, a person who kept many parts of herself hidden from the public eye. And that's what made her death so much harder to understand. People often forget that celebrities are just people too. They have their own struggles, their own private battles that the public never sees. Sara was no different. She never publicly revealed every part of herself, but she still made a deep connection with her fans. Her fans felt like they knew her because of the way she shared pieces of herself on screen. But now, with her passing, there's this overwhelming sense of wanting to understand what was going on in her life that no one knew about. Was she struggling with something privately? Did something happen that no one saw coming? Those are the questions that linger now. The mystery surrounding her death is part of what makes it so difficult to deal with. People want to understand. They want to know what happened. Was it something related to her health? Or did something else contribute to her untimely death? The truth is, no one knows right now. And that uncertainty leaves a lot of room for people to speculate. But at the end of the day, no amount of speculation will bring Sara back. It won't fill the empty space that her absence has left. One thing is certain though: Sara was an incredibly strong person. The way she handled her career, her family, and even the challenges of working in Hollywood speaks to the strength she had. She never let the pressures of fame change who she was. She didn't let the world tell her how to act or what to be. She remained true to herself, even when the world tried to pull her in a million different directions. That's something rare in Hollywood, where people are constantly pushed to conform to a certain image or mold. But Sara wasn't like that. She didn't care about fitting into someone else's idea of who she should be. She was just herself, and that was enough. Now, with her sudden passing, people are reflecting on her life and the example she set. She may not have been the loudest voice in Hollywood, but her influence was still felt deeply. She proved that it's possible to be both successful and authentic. She showed that you didn't have to follow the typical celebrity path to find happiness or success. You could create your own way, and for many people, that was inspiring. It was a reminder that they too could live their lives on their own terms. Sara's passing has also sparked a lot of reflection about the entertainment industry as a whole. People are talking about how difficult it can be to survive in such a high-pressure environment. They're thinking about the toll that fame can take on a person, even when that person seems to have it all. And in some ways, Sara's quiet, unassuming presence in Hollywood now seems even more powerful in hindsight. She didn't need to be the center of attention. She didn't need to chase fame. She just lived her life, worked hard, and stayed true to who she was. And as fans continue to remember her, share stories about her, and express their love for her, it's clear that Sara Gilbert left behind a legacy that won't soon be forgotten. Her life may have ended too soon, but the impact she made will live on. The way she touched people's hearts, the way she made people feel seen and understood, will never go away. Even in her absence, her presence is still deeply felt. People are also starting to realize how much they took her for granted. Sara was always there, quietly doing her work, being herself and making people smile. It's easy to take someone like that for granted, because they're never asking for attention. But now, with her gone, there's this profound sense of loss. Not just because she was talented or famous, but because she represented something much bigger than that. She represented authenticity in a world that often values everything but that. As the days pass, the pain of losing Sara will remain, but so will the memories. The way she made people feel, the way she inspired people to be their true selves, and the way she showed that it's possible to live a meaningful life without chasing fame or approval. That's the legacy she left behind. And even though she's no longer here, it's a legacy that will continue to inspire people for years to come. When someone you admire suddenly leaves this world, it makes you stop and think. You think about their life, their work, and the impact they had on others. And that's exactly what's happening now. Sara Gilbert's death has forced a lot of people to take a hard look at her legacy. Fans, friends, and even people who didn't know her personally are reflecting on the kind of person she was and how much she contributed to the world. But the mystery around her death only makes everything harder to process. We're all left wondering what really happened. How could someone who seemed so strong, so composed, suddenly be gone? The truth is, no one really knows yet. Her family has asked for privacy, and the public still hasn't received all the details. But the more time that passes, the more questions emerge. Why now? Why did it happen so suddenly? Could this have been prevented? These questions echo in everyone's minds. Everyone is searching for answers, even though deep down, they know that some things in life are just not meant to be understood fully. This curiosity about the unknown is natural. It's human to want to fill in the gaps, to make sense of a situation that doesn't seem to make sense. It's also a sign of just how much Sara meant to so many people. If she hadn't had that kind of impact on others, no one would be asking so many questions. But she did make a difference. She made people feel something real, and that's what makes her death all the more tragic. It feels like a chapter of a book that ended too soon. Just when people were starting to realize how special she truly was, it was all taken away. One thing that keeps coming up in all the conversations surrounding Sara's passing is the idea that she didn't fit the usual Hollywood mold. She wasn't the type to chase fame or attention. She didn't live for the red carpets or the flashing cameras. Instead, she chose to live her life in a way that was quiet, humble, and meaningful. She didn't just entertain, she gave people a part of herself. She opened up about her struggles and her joys. She made herself accessible to her fans in a way that felt real and grounded. And that's what made her stand out in an industry that often celebrates the opposite. But the more people think about it, the more it's clear that Sara's life wasn't just about the roles she played or the shows she starred in. It was about the way she carried herself, the way she treated people, and the way she made others feel. She wasn't interested in creating drama for the sake of being talked about. She was more interested in living a life that was true to who she was. And that's why so many people looked up to her. She was a role model in a way that didn't involve wearing fancy clothes or speaking loudly in front of cameras. She was a role model because of her integrity, her authenticity, and her ability to be herself, no matter the circumstances. But now with her passing, people are left with a bittersweet feeling. On the one hand, they are so grateful for the moments they got to share with her through her work. On the other hand, there is a deep sense of loss, not just for the talented actress but for the person she was. People are mourning the fact that they'll never hear her voice again or see her smile in another interview. And they're mourning the fact that there are still so many things about her life that remain unknown. That's what makes this loss so hard to bear. As the days go on, people continue to share their favorite memories of Sara. They talk about the way she made them laugh, the way she made them feel understood, and the way she always seemed to be so grounded. People are remembering how she could light up a room just by being herself. And even though she's no longer physically here, those memories continue to shine brightly. They remind everyone of the good she did and the impact she had. They remind people that her life, while it may have ended too soon, was full of moments that mattered. But what's also clear is that this death, like so many others before it, leaves behind a feeling of unfinished business. There's still so much about Sara's life that people want to know. So many unanswered questions. People wonder if there were parts of her life she kept hidden, parts of her story that will never be told. And while some of those questions may never be answered, the curiosity remains, because the mystery of her life and her death will always be part of her story. Still, one thing is certain. Sara Gilbert's legacy is much more than just a series of TV shows or interviews. It's about the way she made people feel. It's about the way she made them think, laugh, and relate to the world in a different way. It's about the fact that she wasn't just another celebrity. She was a real person who gave something meaningful to the world. And that's why she will never be forgotten. In the end, it's not the unanswered questions that define her legacy. It's the way she lived. It's the way she treated people. It's the way she stayed true to herself, no matter what. She was a symbol of strength, integrity, and authenticity in a world that often values everything else. And that's what people will remember her for. That's the part of her life that will continue to inspire others for years to come. Her death, though tragic and unexpected, won't change that. People will continue to look back on her life with admiration and respect. They will continue to share the memories that matter most. And they will continue to be inspired by the example she set. Because even in death, Sara Gilbert's impact on the world will remain. It will live on in the stories people tell, in the lives she touched, and in the hearts of everyone who admired her. When someone like Sara Gilbert passes away unexpectedly, it creates a space in the world that's hard to fill. There are no easy answers, no immediate way to understand what just happened. The questions begin almost immediately. What caused this? Why did this happen now? Could it have been avoided? And yet the more people ask these questions, the more they come to realize that sometimes in life there are no perfect answers. Sometimes things happen that we just don't understand, no matter how much we try to figure them out. And in those moments, all we're left with is a sense of loss, a sense of sadness, and the need to hold on to the memories of someone who meant so much to so many. Sara's death has left a massive hole, not only for her family and friends but for her fans as well. She wasn't just an actress, she was someone people connected with on a deeper level. Through her roles on TV, people came to know her not just as a character but as a person. She shared pieces of herself in ways that made her feel accessible and real. She wasn't just a famous face on a screen. She was someone people felt they understood. They related to her. They admired her. And when someone you admire is suddenly gone, it leaves you with a sense of confusion and emptiness. That's what so many people are feeling right now. Her death also brings up the reality that no matter how much we think we know someone, there's always more beneath the surface. No matter how many interviews, no matter how many public appearances, there's always a part of someone's life that they keep to themselves. And that's the part that often makes their passing feel so much more painful. People want to know the truth. They want to understand why it happened. They want to know if there was something they missed. But the truth is, there's a lot about Sara that she kept private. And that privacy, in a strange way, is one of the reasons her death is so hard to process. It's the silence, the unknown, that leaves people searching for answers that may never come. Sara's family has asked for privacy during this time, and while that's completely understandable, it also leaves the world wondering. Everyone is asking themselves, was there something going on behind the scenes? Was there something in Sara's life that nobody knew about? Was there a struggle she was facing alone? The curiosity is natural, but it's also painful. Because the reality is that sometimes people go through hard things in silence. They carry burdens that no one else sees. And in Sara's case, it seems like there may have been a lot that no one knew. That mystery only deepens the sadness. It makes the loss feel even more tragic. It also makes people reflect on their own lives. They begin to think about the people they love, the people they care about. They wonder if those people are struggling too. And that's the hard part. That's the part that brings the most pain. Not knowing if someone is okay, or if they're secretly fighting battles that no one sees. And that uncertainty is something everyone can relate to. It's something that unfortunately connects us all. The idea that no matter how well we think we know someone, there's always something hidden, and that's what makes Sara's death so much more difficult to understand. The questions keep coming. Could this have been prevented? Was there something Sara was hiding? Could someone have stepped in to help? And yet, even as people ask these questions, they start to realize that some things in life just can't be prevented. Some things happen for reasons that are beyond our understanding. It's easy to want to point to a single cause, something we can blame. But sometimes life is messy. Sometimes things don't have clear answers. And that's what people are struggling with now. They want closure. They want to understand what happened. But the truth is, the answers may never come in the way they expect. It's human nature to seek answers. We want to make sense of the things that don't make sense. We want to understand why something so tragic could happen to someone who seemed so healthy, so strong. We want to find a way to explain the unexplainable. But the reality is there's no way to fully understand everything. Sometimes life is simply too complex. Sometimes there's no clear reason for why things happen the way they do. And yet, despite all the questions, there's still so much that people will remember about Sara. They will remember the way she made them feel. They will remember the impact she had on their lives. Sara wasn't just someone who appeared on TV. She was someone who made people think, who made people laugh, and who made people feel seen. Even in her most vulnerable moments, she showed the world that it was okay to be real. It was okay to be imperfect. It was okay to struggle, and in a world that often values perfection over authenticity. That message was incredibly important. She reminded people that it's okay to be themselves, even when the world expects something else. And that's part of what makes her loss so difficult. Not just the sadness of losing someone talented, but the loss of a message, a voice that reminded people to stay true to who they are. Sara showed that it's okay to be different. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to not have all the answers. And she did that while living in a world that often demands people to be perfect. That's why her fans connected with her on such a deep level. They saw in her something they could relate to. They saw in her a kind of strength that wasn't about being perfect, but about being real. As people continue to reflect on her life, they will continue to ask questions. They will continue to wonder what happened. But even as the mystery remains, one thing is certain: Sara Gilbert's legacy will live on. It will live on in the way she made people feel. It will live on in the messages she shared about being yourself. And it will live on in the hearts of everyone who admired her, who looked up to her, and who saw in her someone who was truly unique. The questions may remain unanswered, and the pain of her loss may never fully go away. But the love people have for her, the respect they feel for the way she lived her life, and the memories of the impact she had on the world will never fade. In the end, that's what matters. That's what will keep her alive in the hearts of her fans, even after her passing.